14B, right?
It all depends on the commitment of the countries.
How have you dealt with it?
They want to complicate the accession.
Why is the Commission delaying this now to come to view?
Some people consider consensus as unanimous. Consensus has never been unanimous.
Hello and welcome. This is Gazeta Plus podcast. Ahmed Negash, a respected and fearless voice. Ahmed is a household name among media professionals and the public at large, particularly on issues engaging the complex Nile discourse. He is a vocal and unwavering critic of Egyptian propagandists who tries to peddle disinformation, particularly to disinform the entire global community. With his hands-on involvement in the GERD, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam negotiation, and also his key role in drafting the cooperative framework of agreement on the Nile, I believe that he would bring his expertise and experience here on the table on issues related to the two topics. Ahmed is also chairperson of the advisory team on transboundary water on the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. As the Ministry of Water and Energy, he's in charge of policy advice to the Ministry on the GERD, transboundary waters, and local conflicts around water resource use. Ahmed, thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
Just as a starter, to begin with, you participated in GERD negotiation. Similarly, you are one of the vocal critic of the Egyptian propagandists. So, did this bring any trouble, just along the course of GERD negotiation?
Yeah, the GERD negotiation was actually a long journey. Started very slowly and very calmly and very friendly. But within 1 year, actually, we went into several, stalemates, several turmoils, several walkouts of the negotiation. So it is always hard to discuss, debate, and negotiate on the Nile, because the Nile is a lifeline for nearly 500 million people residing in 11 poor countries. So it is very much related to the survival, to the development, to the dignity, and the future aspiration of millions of people. And this also actually, many people depend for their water supply, for water security, energy security, food security, on the Nile. For this purpose, it is always very difficult, but debating, discussing and negotiating with Egyptians is actually a little bit difficult because they can use any technique to arrive, at their desired destinations. So for that purpose, the Ethiopian team, which is normally very small and well organized and well prepared, are always in a very good position, really, to challenge the challenge. And then normally we always work to come up with a win-win solution.
So you sometimes walk out, just your team. You also mentioned that it's a bit challenging because they use different techniques.
We don't walk out, they walk out.
They walk out?
Yes, they walk out. Often
what are the techniques? People say that they even lie. They just do different kinds of tricks during agreements and negotiation and discussion and so on.
Yeah, see, in negotiation, there are several techniques which you deploy based upon, your merits, based upon your integrity. And one of the technique is actually a deception technique, which is repeatedly, used by Egyptian negotiators. This is very common, everybody knows that. So they employ deception technique here and there. This deception technique is one of the tools actually accepted in the negotiation arena, but at the same time it can, erode your integrity. Okay. Nobody will trust you when you are caught, decepting your adversaries. but still they can use it, repeatedly.
Can you just give us just one example how they try just to deceive you and you become conscious and just defended your position?
I mean, like one of the technique, for example, one of the deception technique is changing the agenda. Okay, you come with the agenda,
Okay.
then when you realize that that agenda is not going in your according to your interests or according to your wishes, then you change the agenda immediately, and then you just say, no, this is the first agenda. This is very common. Or even you can change the minutes of agreements, the minutes of meeting. You can change the word, you can change the commas, you can change the colons, anything. Then there are several techniques actually which you can employ, as a deception technique.
In my view, what makes unique the GERD negotiation is they were provided with the first-hand information, the technical documents, and also they went to the site of the GERD construction as well. What do you think? They like to get from Ethiopia, and what were their impression when they get the technical documents, when they visit the dam site and so on? What's their impression?
As I mentioned earlier, when we started the GERD issue, even it was not a government-to-government relation. The Egyptian government didn't come to Ethiopia and ask for information. They sent a public diplomacy team, a very huge team who came to Addis, very friendly, even promised to throw out the 1929 and the 1959 agreement if Ethiopia is not happy with that. They went to that distance. Then they requested, they say, we have a concern, we want to get information. Okay, we say we will give you information. We didn't reciprocate, by the way, in 1960, when Egypt started, the construction of the High Aswan Dam. Ethiopia requested for the information, and it was denied, but we didn't reciprocate. We agreed to give them information through the Nile Basin Initiative System. They say, no, we don't have a government, permanent government to make a decision to go back to the Nile Basin Initiative. They say, we want a parallel arrangement. We agreed. They say, please postpone the ratification of the CFA, the Cooperative Framework Agreement. It was at the Council of Ministers at that time. Ethiopia suspended, actually, the ratification process for 2 years in response to their request. But then they asked for information. We gave them all the information, all the design, the study document. They have been to the dams repeatedly several times, including their ministers. But it is before, even we reach 1 year of journey, they officially requested the government of Ethiopia to stop construction.
Okay. So they just, change the track from friendly relations to somewhat we can say enmity. What do you think? They just why do they change track from friendly to enmity, or were they just deceiving as they were they pretending as if just they are good friends?
You see, when they come, for example, they were not sure that the Ethiopian government will give them any information on the GERD because of what they did in 1960 to the government of Ethiopia, to the request of Emperor Haile Selassie. But Ethiopia was open, then they got all information. But
what is it they did in 1960?
In 1960, when they started the construction of the High Aswan Dam, Emperor Haile Selassie requested for information about the dam, and he was denied any information. They say, this is none of your business. So they were, they feared that Ethiopia will reciprocate in kind.
Okay, so they expected us just not to say, yes, this is not your business, and we don't just give you any information about the construction.
Yes, such a response is government to government relation when it is, done in such a manner. It is not good. That's why they sent actually the public diplomacy. When they realized that Ethiopian government is okay and they're ready to give them information, then they sent the prime minister of the transitional government at that time of President Muhammad Tantawi, who was
Okay.
actually the first transitional president of Egypt. You know, actually when they come, definitely they have alternative strategies. The first strategy of Egypt was to stop the construction of the dam by any means. When they realized that it is not going to happen, they tried to actually lower, to reduce the overall, you know, capacity of the dam, lower storage capacity, lower the amount of energy that's generated. When that doesn't happen, they want the feeling to be, you know, forever. Okay. They don't want the dam to be filled within a short period of time. Now they want, once the dam is full, now they are going to again create another avenue of discussion, debate, and controversy around the annual operation of the dam. So it will continue.
It's already completed. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed last time announced that the dam's construction is already completed, and also it's generating energy. So do you think the controversy around the GERD will continue hereafter?
What is the objective of this, Egyptian engagement? That is very important, because Egyptians are engaged in the GERD, not because the GERD is going to affect them. They know for sure that the GERD is going to benefit them. There is only one fact now. I can put one very clear fact. In the Nile Basin, we have only one ovary storage in the past. That is the High Aswan Dam. The High Aswan Dam actually stores more than 2 years of water requirement of Egypt.
Okay.
So any water in excess of the capacity of the High Aswan Dam to store will go either into, will just leave, they just throw it into a desert, they divert into a desert, or they just let it go into the Mediterranean Sea. Now, the GERD is in picture. The GERD stored 74 billion cubic meter of water. The GERD is full. The High Aswan Dam is full. That means we have excess water now in the system, in the Nile system. The GERD actually enabled us to store additional water in the amount of 74 billion cubic meter. This water is going to be released downstream, so it is going to be a benefit to Egypt. They know that it is going to benefit them. They know that the impact is actually insignificant. The objective behind all this, controversy is one: Egypt considers the Nile, the cooperation in the Nile, as a zero-sum game. Anybody touching the water, they think will reduce, their share. The second one, they don't want, upstream countries to be, strong, to be stable, to be peaceful, and to be economically, particularly, very elevated. So they want the countries not to develop, or actually not to develop their water resources, so that they can contest their hydrohegemony. The third actually objective is that Egypt wants Ethiopia to recognize the purported water rights they say they have in the Nile. Ethiopia never recognized Egyptian water share. Ethiopia never recognized the Sudanese water share, because we were not part of actually that negotiation. We were not party to that agreement. So they want in any way, in any means, in the name of binding agreement, they want to sneak indirectly this, the purported water share they claim in the Nile. So those are actually their main objective. As long as those objectives are not met, Egypt will keep on actually engaging Ethiopia in the future.
So, as you have mentioned it, one of the contentious issue, particularly in the cooperative framework of agreement, is the, I think, Article 14b, right?
Yes.
So, what is it they want? Just know what advantage do they like? Just know to have using this article, and how have you dealt with it?
Actually, the original contention was on the on the fate of existing agreements.
Okay.
There was negotiation going on for a long time on the effect of existing agreements. Egypt and Sudan, they wanted the current framework, that is the CFA, to respect and recognize existing agreements, which means you don't need to, why do you negotiate?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Upstream countries, they want the existing agreements to be void and nullified as long as they are inconsistent with the current framework. When they couldn't agree on this, the negotiation was actually, stalled for some time. Then the World Bank, who was the facilitator of the negotiation process, came with what is known as constructive ambiguity. In negotiation, if the negotiating parties, go into stalemate, you come with some ambiguous concept and just to start the negotiation process to go ahead. So they came up with what is known as water security. Water security is not a legal concept, it is more of a political concept, but still the countries agreed on water security. And they defined water security in terms of access to water for food, for energy, for domestic water supply. Upstream countries wanted, all Nile Basin countries to respect water security of another Nile Basin countries. They agreed on this, but Egypt and Sudan, they wanted all Nile Basin countries to respect the current use, right, and water security. That means the existing agreement.
Okay.
So this was actually, rejected by all upstream countries. They couldn't accept the construction by the upstream. Finally, this was removed. The funny part is, this Article 14B is removed from the CFA to facilitate, the signature of the framework by all.
Okay.
Still, they denied. They say no.
Okay. So as you have said it, it's just to keep their water hegemony, particularly along the Nile. The CFA is already signed and ratified by 6 Nile countries. This is obvious. Why is the Commission delaying just to come to view?
The Commission is already started on the date the CFA came into force, that is 13th of October 2024. It is legally already established. But there are some details that have to be clarified. For one thing, there is a Nile Basin initiative, which is going to be acceded by the Commission. So the Commission is going to inherit or accede to the rights, obligation, and assets of the Nile Basin initiative. Already, Nile Basin initiative have some commitments. There are some projects which are under implementation. There are contracts which the Nile Basin initiative have to respect. Also, the transition has to be very smooth. There are some also legal issues that are really to be resolved, so they are working on that. They already, the 6 countries actually already established a roadmap. They agreed on a transition period between 1 to 2 years of transition period, during which the Commission and the Nile Basin Initiative will run in parallel. Slowly, the Nile Basin Initiative will transfer its roles, responsibilities, and assets to the Commission. On the other hand, they are also trying to discuss and debate and engage the 4 countries who didn't ratify the CFA. Actually, Kenya already signed the CFA. Actually, they signed on the 3rd day of the opening of the accord for signature. They will actually ratify very soon because the interest of Kenya is very much similar to interest of upstream countries. DRC, they accepted the CFA, but they didn't sign. The main reason, official reason, is that they say they want to sign it, one after Egypt and Sudan. But the reality is that
why DRC after Egypt and Sudan?
Yeah, DRC is not very much interested in the Nile
because
they have the Congo River.
Lots of
They have the Congo River, yes, which is 18 times as big as the Nile. Also, their contribution to the Nile is very small. There is only one small stream known as Semiliki, which is flowing into the Nile. And territorially, only 0.9% of the Congo is in the Nile, so they are not very much. So they didn't want
to involve in the
Yeah,
controversy.
they didn't want to jeopardize, their relation with Egypt for this purpose, because in the UN peacekeeping contingency, actually, in DRC, the largest contributors are actually Egypt. So they don't want that. Sudan and Egypt, they rejected actually the CFA. So this is the difference. So what they are discussing now, they established a committee of 3 countries. Now they are engaging the 4 countries to just make sure that, or to just, help them come back to the
Do you think it would take long, just the transition from anybody to the commission, or will it face any kind of stalemate along the course?
It all depends on the commitment of the countries. If the 6 countries want to establish the commission immediately, they can do it, no problem. They can do it within a month. But the commitment of all countries is not similar. It depends on the interest of each country in the Nile itself. So for that reason, it may take maybe a year or a year and a half from now onward for the commission to be.
Are there any mechanisms, for instance, accession of the commission will accept the NBI, and NBI, it has got lots of resources and so on, and we've been discussing that NBI belongs to the 11 countries, and these 6 countries already signed the CFA. So would there be any kind of disagreement in the course? And if there is a kind of stalemate, what would happen?
Egypt actually frozen its cooperation in the Nile Basin in 2010. Since the signature of the CFA by 6 upstream countries, Egypt and Sudan froze their cooperation. Sudan came back in 2013 to NBI, and Egypt never came back. Egypt used to invest up to $10 million each year to undermine the Nile Basin Initiative and to dislodge the CFA. Now Egypt is back in the NBI. They are fully back now in the NBI.
Okay, why?
Because they want to keep the NBI running now, to just keep the commission from being established, just to create problem, nothing else, nothing more. So they are back. They are claiming that the NBI belongs to them. They are complaining that upstream countries want to the NBI, but they say the NBI belongs to them, and they just want to complicate the accession of the NBI to the Commission. There are actually options for that. The best way is all countries agree, if all countries reach a consensus to dissolve the NBI, and then to go for the Commission, then that is the best option. If not, the NileCom can meet and can dissolve the NBI by majority voting. Some people consider consensus as unanimous. Consensus has never been unanimous, so they can discuss, debate. At some point, they can go for majority voting and they can dissolve the NBI. If not, the 6 or 7 countries can just abandon the NBI and go to the Commission, establish the Commission, and go ahead. So those are actually the 3 best options available to upstream countries.
Consensus is the best solution, of course, but if not consensus, which one do you think is better?
You go for majority voting. By the way, consensus is not unanimous decision. This is actually one of the misconceptions you can see among many countries, including Egyptian officials. Consensus is not unanimous decision. Even consensus is not a decision rule. It is a process of reaching at a desired level of decision making. So in consensus, you try to bring everybody on board. You do your best. You change your position, your interests, your strategies. At the end of the day, if you realize that any further effort will not yield any positive outcome, you go for majority voting. This is actually what is actually happening in the world.
Some say the CFA calls for African solutions to African problems. How do you relate it?
The CFA is actually, it is a basin issue. It is negotiated among basin countries. Actually, it has many international good practices. The NBI is very much related to what is being done in other parts of the world. It is very much related to also the UN Convention, the non-navigational use of the water courses, which is actually passed in 1997. It's very much related to that. But at the same time, it addresses a critical issue of the Nile. So it is a solution that is created by the Nile basin countries to manage their own resources. So in one way or another, it can be related to that. But still, in basin, when we take basin issues, normally basin issues are always better addressed by basin countries. In that respect, it can be considered as African solution for African problem.
Thanks so much, for just dedicating your time this morning with us. You have addressed quite a lot of questions on issues related to the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam and one of the most important, the Nile Cooperative Framework of Agreement about the Commission zone. So I really appreciate that you join us this morning.
You're welcome, and thank you also for having me.